wchodzimy. Witajcie, to znowu my, Extinction Rebellion. Extinction Rebellion i oczywiście nie tylko, są z nami zaprzyjaźnione ruchy, między innymi Airstrike, Strajk dla Ziemi, który współorganizuje z nami ten dzisiejszy dzień, Dzień Wielkiego Marszu dla Klimatu. Jesteśmy w 4 marszach, 4 różnych.
Does anyone want to say anything on the live stream?
I'll probably swear too much.
Does anyone want to say anything for the live stream? Or what's going on? Give us an escort. Do you want to say anything on a live stream? Would anyone like to talk to me?
There's a fun thing there.
Okay.
Sorry, Sarah. Public auction. I'm live streaming. Do you want to speak?
So I think I they're not going to arrest people, but they are ticketing. Is this a code?
We don't know. What do you think of this situation? This boat's come all the way from Brighton.
And as people are saying on the way past, like, what is going on? I agree.
Have been absolutely incredulous that this boat's come all the way from Brighton, and they're absolutely incredulous about what's happening. is a climate, ecological and democratic emergency. Anyone want to talk? Does anyone like to talk about what's happening? Anyone like to talk about what's happening? It's a live stream. It's about, what do you think? What's happening here? Where are we?
Where are we? We're in Kennington Park Road, I believe. We've come, this march has come all the way from Brighton. They were in Brixton last night, so they've marched from Brixton this morning. The police have actually caused a major obstruction by stopping this march, this peaceful march, which is to do with the climate problem that most of us can see with our own eyes is happening all across the world. And there is peaceful protest against that, trying to get the government to take action. The government declared a climate emergency, but thus far have done nothing to prevent what's happening. And they can do things, there's so much they can do and they're not. The UK is breaking the laws on the pollution levels, and that is affecting all of us, and particularly the children of this country with their immature lungs and babies while they're still in the pool are affected by the high levels of pollution in this country. Crops are failing in this country as well as across the world. People are being flooded out, and it has to stop. We have to change things. If we don't change things, we're doomed. A 4% change in climate, it doesn't sound like much, but the world will be unlivable. The vast majority of the world will be unlivable. When it was 4 degrees colder, that's when it was the Ice Age. So that's what it means. 4 degrees means a huge amount as far as the planet is concerned, and we have to do something. Peace be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When they have not. They're arresting 200 cyclists on the road. Many of them were, some were saying they're not part of the protest. The police say, well, how can you prove it? Confiscating equipment, saying, no, you can't pick this up. Do you have any proof that this is your equipment? This is not how democracy looks like. This is abuse of power of the police. It's abuse of power of the government. It's abuse of COVID rules. This is wrong, and you know it. Government, you know it. Boris, the Prime Minister, you know it. Prince Charles, you already know it. You've already spoken up about it. It is time for the royals to actually really stand up and stand with the people. Harry, Prince, come on. You and Meghan, we know you guys know this is wrong. You feel it in your bones. This is so wrong. And now the police are using COVID restrictions. So I'm going to go here. We have a de-escalator here. Hey. Can you just tell us? Actually, let me swap camera.
Hi, so yeah, we're in Trafalgar Square where we were actually having we were having talk about a citizens' assembly, and we were going to hold a people's assembly where we could talk about how we could upgrade democracy. So we had a couple of speakers who were talking about how the government is struggling really to address the issues of the time, because they tend to think in sort of short-termism, so maybe cycles of 4 years, mainly on the basis that they've got to please, sort of the think tanks and things like that, and that generally it's the think tanks who are actually informing the government as to policy rather than the scientists and things like that are going on. So we were about to start a People's Assembly where we could discuss together, how we could think about implementing a deliberative democracy. And this isn't something that Extinction Rebellion wants to implement. It's something that we would like to ask for a citizens' assembly from the government, which is something by sortition. So it's very representative of the people, all ages, all representative of ethnicity, education, and that kind of thing. So People's Assembly is fundamentally different because people can opt into it. So you have a topic that you talk about, and then people come together. We maybe share some information around the topic. And then we get into small groups where we'll break out and then we'll discuss the issues as they come up. we'll come up with some ideas and findings, and then we share them back as a big group, and we see, you know, where that can inform us. Now, we were just about starting at when the police then started moving in and saying that if we didn't move on, that we would be fined, and if people weren't going to give their information, then obviously we would be arrested. A lot of people here are feeling really upset about this because, you know, this feels like a real affront on our democracy. You know, we're talking about how we can upgrade democracy and sharing the issues. Now, people were sitting here with masks on. We'd already had a COVID instruction at the beginning of the session where we, you know, really encouraged people to be socially distanced, to use the hand wash. If anybody was unwell, that they must leave and socially isolate. And so, you know, the attention had been given. And yet the police then got the order that they had to move in. Now, I've been talking as a de-escalation to, you know, a lot of rebels that are here as well as the police. Now, the rebels are just being really quiet and calm and peaceful, and they understand that the police are just acting on the orders that they've been given. A lot of rebels are also talking to the police, and the police are, you know, saying obviously they're not allowed to express an opinion, they're acting on orders.
You cannot leave your morals at home so that you can look professional. This is not the society that we want.
I think the feeling that we're getting is that the police are looking really uncomfortable actually at implementing this. You know, I have heard sorry being said a lot of times, and people are saying, you know, they're just basically doing their job, but at the same time, I had a discussion with an officer about cognitive dissonance, you know, and I think, you know, that it's very much clearly here they are acting on this law because it's been given as a rule. But of course, what people aren't saying is who's made this law and why have they made this law, and, you know, how convenient it is at this time when we're having a protest that, you know, that our voice can be silenced even though people are trying their best to be respectful. So we're just in this really uncomfortable position. There's a lot of police around, there's a lot of people, and nobody really knows what's happening and what the outcome is. I'm sure that some people will be arrested because they'll feel that actually, you know, that the affront on the democracy is too much and that they need to continue.
So you use the term convenient. So I just want to say, in regards to convenience, okay, yesterday we had lawyers for XR talk about how HS2, the company HS2 Limited, which is a private company, a construction company, which is using taxpayers' money, 100 billion. The government agreed to 100 billion to destroy nature, 100 billion to destroy forests. If you go and stay there, if you just go and visit there, the one was the Hillingdon Outdoor Centre. Google the Hillingdon Outdoor Centre. Just go and see how beautiful it was there. People were doing, you know, boat rides, you know, and they were learning how to kayak, all these things. All of that is getting destroyed. All of that is getting destroyed. And the government, okay, gave the judge gave them the ability to use the put an injunction in order. The law said something like it has to be if it's convenient. If it's got easy and convenient, the judge can put an injunction. This is not how democracy works. Like, call a citizens' assembly on HS2, call a citizens' assembly on, you know, on these big infrastructure projects. We cannot have it. We cannot have it anymore. How are you doing otherwise? Doing okay. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Personally, I'm doing okay. I'm really glad that I'm here, just because it's such an important time. I mean, on Monday, the HS2 work is really going ahead. So they're going to be felling lots and lots of trees, and that's full steam ahead. So we're really at the 12th hour right now. That's why there was, you know, an HS2 day at the Rebellion yesterday, and we saw some actions. And I've already heard that, you know, some brave rebels actually sprayed some fake blood on the front of the Department of Transport, and I was involved in that action as well. And unfortunately, what I'm hearing now is that we're being called vandals, and it's quite, I mean, it's not surprising, but at the same time, you know, when you imagine that you're going to have 108 woodlands that are being destroyed, when, you know, this is the biggest sort of felling of forests since World War I. You know, we've got 1 in 4 British mammals that are at risk of extinction. They're drilling a London water aquifer, which actually risks the safety of that water, and I understand that's going to be serving a large proportion of London, and probably about a third, if I remember correctly. Now, my sister and my nephews and nieces live in London, so that feels really personal to me as well as to their health and safety. You know, and again, 100 billion when we're at a time of recession. The government's just told us that we're in recession, and yet, 100 billion, we wouldn't need to be in recession now. This is an interesting one for the police, isn't it? Because we already know that there's a lot of poverty in the UK. In my city, there's lots and lots of homelessness. In the last couple of years, it's escalated dramatically. And the police are going to be dealing with a lot more crime and problems, when you have that sort of increase in social deprivation that we're going to expect if the government comes and says, right, now we're in austerity measures again. And so, this HS2 on so many issues, I understand they're grabbing land. There was a farmer who was talking on the BBC yesterday about how her land was being taken. I understand, Michael Gove a few years ago told us that actually we are losing soil in the UK at an alarming rate, and they think we've got 30 to 40 more years left in British soil if we continue farming the way we are. We know that sea levels are rising. Where I live, from the Wash to Peterborough, will probably be under floodland, because that's the fens that will be reclaimed by the sea. Now, that's prime farming land that we have. So how are we going to feed our children? How are we going to feed our people within the next 30, 40 years, especially when you consider that across the globe, we've got global warming, so we're actually losing farmland globally. So you've got this situation where you might have multi-breadbasket failure, they call it, crops failing all over the world at the same time, and we could be actually then dealing with mass malnutrition of people, mass migration, refugees. Just really alarming stuff. So, yeah, it might seem a little bit dramatic, maybe, that some people are in London and maybe they are spraying a little bit of, fake eco blood on a Department of Transport. But when you look at that in perspective, it is definitely proportionate to the climate emergency.
Yeah, because these guys are doing ecocide. Do you want to know anything about ecocide?
Yeah, so ecocide is the Stop Ecocide campaign is very much about trying to make ecocide actually saturate in international law. So at the moment, it's not actually illegal to destroy the environment willfully. So if you have a company that wants to extract from the earth, or maybe there's a massive oil spill or something like that, you're not actually going to be personally tried in a court of law for the damage that you've done to the environment.
You can get insurance. You can get insurance for that.
Can you really?
You can actually get a payout.
Wow.
Yeah, like in Mauritius. Mauritius at the moment, because of fossil fuel industries, Mauritius is being destroyed. Okay, they're one of the small island states. Okay, there are people living there, beautiful people, beautiful creatures. They have a deep, rich history. They have a history of racism and colonialism. The French, they have a history of slaves rather jumping off the mountain than to be taken back by the white man. Mount Mornay, go and climb it, go and walk and feel it. This is important. This is important stuff. You have to feel it. It is not just these things are real.
Yeah, it's hugely, hugely important. So the Stop Ecocide campaign is really, really important, because what you can do is you can sign up to it. So you can find it on, if you just Google in Stop Ecocide, then you can pay less than $5 and you can sign up to a trust, which actually signs you up to a trust to protect the earth. Now, this isn't legally statute yet, but it can be used as a defence, if you are actually active in an action that you get arrested, that you can say, look, I'm an earth protector. It's not something that I've just done on a whim because I'm not thinking about it. This is something that's really deep within my conscience, and that's why I stand here and I'm protected. And the money that you give will also go towards trying to make this an international law. And interestingly, because we're talking about citizens' assemblies now, France have just had a citizens' assembly, and the number one recommendation of the French people from that citizens' assembly was to make ecocide a crime. So Macron will now be having to go to internationally to other leaders to try and see if we can work out a way. Now, that's really interesting, because ecocide, which is crimes against ecology, of course is very similar to the court where you would be sort of tried like if you were for trials of war of genocide or something like this. So you can imagine a company that if you were actually being destructive to the planet, and you could be tried in an international court for ecocide personally, that you could go to prison for your entire life for that.
Personally,
that CEOs would clean up their acts. It would be like GDPR. As soon as they know that law is coming in, they will be scrabbling to make sure that they are actually stopping their destructive practices. So we're a long way off the UK recognising ecocide as a crime, and HS2 would be a beautiful example of ecocide crime. So yeah, we are here really projecting that voice, and if anybody is unaware of what's happening in HS2, then you must look at it, and you must look at it immediately. Some people, they're not going to get involved in activism, that's fine. Maybe you need to write to your MP, maybe you need to phone him, maybe you need to put a letter through his or her door, maybe you need to just make sure that you're talking to your colleagues and people, or just go down to the woods, take a walk in them, look at how beautiful they are.
On Facebook, HS2 Rebellion. Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's supposed to be emotional. These things are supposed to be emotional. If someone were to drive over your child, you would feel a sense of loss. Okay. If someone were to drive over someone else's child, you would feel a sense of loss. Nature is under our protection. Nature gives us what we need to sustain. It gives us breath. It gives us life. Okay, this is what nature gives. The ocean, 70% of the oxygen that you're breathing comes from the phytoplankton that comes from the coral reefs. Yet in Australia we have the companies sending oil tankers through the bloody coral reefs. In Mauritius now the coral there is destroyed as well. Okay, there's places that it's got such amazing. If you are a scuba diver, stand up! Stand up! Bring your bloody scuba gear to the city, go in front of your government and stand up. You will not have it if you don't. If you live in paradise, if you're a conscious creator and you live on paradise, stand up. Okay? Yes, we have to show them better alternative, and we can make the alternative so appealing that the people will just come with us. We need about 3.5% to have herd, where the herd basically follows. So we can do this, with regenerative culture, just really be yourself, really experience nature again, but also experience community. There's something called a climate emergency center. You can look at, I think it's Reclaiming the Spaces, okay, but just search for Extinction Rebellion working class on YouTube, and there's a great video at about 54 minutes in. There's you can set this up, but there's so many buildings that have gone unwanted. There's the way that our whole economic system works does not work for everyone. But even with the lockdown, the tech companies, some of them, the shares, some rich people I even know, their shares just went through the roof. They were like, they could sit at home just make even more money. It does not work for everyone. Okay, we need a citizens' assembly. Extinction Rebellion has always just had the three demands. Tell the truth, declare climate emergency, and act like the government needs to declare it. The two, go carbon zero by 2025. That's 5 years. Why? Because the science says if we wait longer, there is a lot of harm. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, and then 3, do it through citizens' assembly so it's not forced upon the people. Okay, the people need to be involved, and also because the governments are. They are kidnapped. They are kidnapped by the construction industry. They are kidnapped by big business. They are kidnapped by big pharma. The people do not want this anymore. We do not want this. We feel it in our bones that we do not. And we have seen the other side. We have seen life where it's kind and beautiful, where people live in community, where people care for one another. We've seen it with lockdown. We've seen it where communities just created. The governments didn't help them. The governments didn't help them because the governments are captured. Okay, the people have the power. That's why we're singing the people have the power. It is true. It is not just a song. The people have the power. You have the power. And what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to abuse and disperse. So there's some rebels being arrested. And again, the only thing they're being arrested for is for staying here and saying this is unjust. The only reason these rebels are being arrested is because they're saying this is unjust. And they want to live in a democracy. So we have, now this is also on the, photographers, the press, so suppression of photographers. We had our other live streamer, Fergal, my man. Fergal got arrested for streaming, for letting people know. And Fergal also lives this, He changed career when he found out, he went into renewable energy. He went into renewable energy, and then the government removed all the subsidies and rather gave it to the fossil fuels. Right? This is not how it works. This is not democracy. This is not just. This is not a just arrest. And he's handcuffed. Why is he handcuffed? This is a force, a show of force. This is the police, the Metropolitan Police, the MET, the macho. So the police.
Move over, move back, no one being past there. I'll ask you what legislation he's arrested him under, but you move back, please.
Excuse me. So
Take 2 steps backwards, please. I will tell you that. Move 2 steps backwards, please.
we already have. You cannot continuously asking. So this is abuse of power. The police abused. They arrested 200 cyclists. Okay, they obstructed the highway. These are the people being arrested. You know, even these police officers, they know it's unjust. They don't know what they're being arresting them for. You know, this is the government being so afraid, okay, of transfer of power. This is big industry. You know, they have the lobbying groups. They have the lobbying groups of number 55 Tufton Street. You know, we've seen the people, we've seen the spy cops. You know, we've seen them follow protests and then, you know, just accidentally that is in the news. That is and it's the same people, you know. You really need to up your game. You're not very good at this. You've got all the money, but you don't have the heart because you know you are doing it wrong. You know what you are presenting to the world is not what the world wants. What you are presenting to the world is a mental illness. What you're presenting to the world is unhealth. It's dis-ease. Okay, what these people are fighting for is to return to better ways, to return to kind and calmer ways. Yeah, exactly. Is this London or Moscow? This is London, believe it or not. Okay. This is just this. It's and you know what? So you know, before I really knew about Black Lives Matter, all of these. A friend of mine who actually joined Extinction Rebellion. She told me about, is it section 50? I don't know, stop and search? I didn't know. I'm a middle-aged white man. I didn't know. I never had problems with the police. I never got stopped. Now they're using the same. It's just,
Every single police officer has said a different thing of why you can't be there. Yeah. And I just said, and I asked him, I said, can you, oh, thank you. I said, can you like give me the form and sign it and date it here to say that you gave it to me on that piece of ground? So then I can go to the Westminster Council and say, okay, I was given that, is that legal? And they won't do it. They say, I don't have another one. Well, you should be able to say that you gave it to me then I can go and query it. I'll move if you say that you gave it to me there, but they're not going to do it because it probably doesn't exist. As someone asked me to Google it, couldn't find it.
So you know we're here together because you know what? Fuck separation. Okay, separation. That is what they're trying to use. They use it to control. They use it to make people afraid.
Yeah.
You know, of
It's
people who are
working.
different than them.
Yeah,
They're looking different.
Yeah.
Know, or different income class.
Yeah.
This doesn't
It's
work.
outrageous.
You know what? The thing is, at the on the bridge, they didn't even. You know, they arrested the people.
Yeah.
But then they took them to a detention center.
What?
Yes, they put them in a temporary detention center because they didn't know really actually. It's just.
No one knows. Everyone's got a different.
And a lot of people, sorry.
No, carry on.
A lot of people
got
got released on under investigation. That means the police need to go and investigate 200 cases. They're never going to arrest them.
They don't even have enough forms.
This is how we win. Okay, but one, telling the truth, you know, speaking truth to power.
Oh
and
my
two,
God.
we're going to show them the world that is possible. We don't need the government, you know, to really make our lives amazing. We can exit the system. Okay, first we start in our mind. We don't have to be controlled or fear money. We don't have to fear our neighbor. You know, we don't. This is bullshit. It's just bullshit.
It's outrageous. I'm just in shock.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, though.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't even know. I'm not even from London.
Yeah, where are you from?
Reading. I've got to go.
Reading.
I was like, he invited me out.
Do you have about £300? Because in a couple of years, you know, there might be HS2.
I know.
You know, and,
it cost me 17 quid to get here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Outrageous.
Oh,
No,
thank you for the work you
no
do.
worries.
Thanks. Yeah, so you know, these are people just witnessing arrest. Anyone can witness the arrest, by the way, anyone. But the average citizen isn't told about this. Average citizen isn't told that you can witness an arrest, you know, and you can question the police. That you do not have. Go and get your rights. You know, go on a know your rights training. This is important. This should be taught in school. This should be taught in primary school. Okay, especially if you're from a vulnerable community. But no, well, actually, I'm definitely in vulnerable communities. But actually, it should be taught in the privileged communities. You know, it should be taught everywhere. And I hate the fact that we talk about privilege, you know, Eton mess, you know, and what Cambridge salad or... You know, this is separation. You know, these are people that are asking first, what do you do for a living, rather than how do you feel? You know, it is not their fault even, you know, it is... They've just been told the lie. And you have big corporations and big companies and even big governments or countries that have been playing Monopoly. They've been playing Monopoly for 400 years. They've been playing Monopoly for 400 years. You know, this is what the world needs more of, you know, actual compassion. When I say the governments have been playing companies and countries have been playing Monopoly, you know, if you play a certain game but you don't allow everyone to play at the same level, and in later years you say, okay, no, everyone can play now, but we're not starting the game again. That's what I'm talking about. You can figure it out. So there's something else happening over there. That is for Sharkleys. Yes, let's actually go and talk about Sharkleys, because now the police are here. I mean, the police officers, you know, they are just as confused, right? Because they know citizens' assemblies is the future for democracy. You know, they know that the rebels have done it. It is a lovely couple. They're really, really nice.
Fantastic place to come well. I have no more information than that.
Okay.
Apparently, this is a breach of COVID.
Sorry, did you say this is a breach of COVID?
Yes.
Okay, so COVID is now being used as a political means to disperse. So, you know, you can see the police, they can see the light in us. They are beautiful people here. You know, not all police are bad. I know in some countries, geez, some countries have very, very bad trauma. They've gone through a lot of trauma where the police still really believe in separation, and they really, really believe in superiority, you know, and the power of the badge. You know, respect is gained, respect is earned, not forced. So here we have Sharkleys. Hey, you guys know about this? Hi, how you doing? Yeah, it's very good that you know about it, because most people at home don't know. Is there something you want to say about it?
We have just heard about it from the woman who's given the lead.
All right, great. Can I borrow that from you for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. You know, so yes, so we are doing the outreach that the government's corruption team or anti-corruption team should probably be doing. We're also doing the job, you know, of the climate change committee. You know, there's so many jobs we're doing, and we've been doing it now for a long time, and we're not getting paid for it. You know, instead, you know, we're getting either arrested for it, you know, or assaulted for it. So there's the Sharkleys team. You know, welcome to the Super Saturday at Sharkleys and XR Football. Okay, so the XR Football are in the orange, and Sharkleys, we've got Sharkleys, XR Football is playing, they're passing. What's happening? Oh, wait, what's there? What, the ref? What's happening? All right. Yes, football's never been that interesting to me. But other people love it. Everyone to their own. So let's go on over here. As our planet teeters on the brink of climate and ecological disaster, there's a showdown to delight all lovers of the beautiful game. Can icons of corporate capital Sharkleys see of the challenge of environmental activist Extinction Rebellion Football Club? Let's see what's going on. Yeah, you know, the Sharkley board and shareholders will see their team as hot favourites. With the history of shameless investment strategies, they were famous for apartheid in South Africa. Okay, and now Barclays has bought over Absa Bank. So if you're Absa in South Africa, you are actually really using Barclays. Okay, they were confident that their family defensive wall of hollow promises and meaningless long-term commitments will hold up yet again. But you see, Sharkleys, they underestimate the XR team at their peril. The rebellion's simple but effective style of play asks questions of opposing teams. Like, why are you ignoring the climate and ecological emergency? They won't make it easy for sharkies to get away with funding oil wells, fracking and tar sand and extractions. How you doing, my friend? While claiming to be a force of good in society. Let's just look at some key facts. So Barclays provided 118 billion of financing, which is lending and underwriting, nearly 30 billion of it in 2019. 2019, I thought that's the year that government did not declare a climate emergency. Only Parliament did. So Parliament declared a climate emergency and Barclays still spent 30 billion on fossil fuel companies. Since 2015. Okay. Making it the 7th worst bank international. You know, here's some more things. Let's have a look. The European banker for all fossil fuels, number 1 banker worldwide for Arctic oil and gas. The number 1 European banker for coal power. European banker for fracking oil and gas. Samo hailing it as the golden age for the bank. You know, the shareholders must be delighted. Delighted. And their friends over at Tufton Street must be coming up with all kinds of concoctions, you know, how to spin the story. You know, maybe they're investing a little bit in or maybe better, rather not invest in green, let's just buy over. Yeah, that's also a good strategy. Oh no, that's BP, sorry. Let's buy. So what else? Sharkey's continuous funding of fossil fuel producers and other egregious polluters makes a mockery of the bank's net zero ambition. Sharkey's credibility with the human who work for them and the ones who bank with them is also coming under increasing scrutiny. You see, critics say that the management's negative tactics risk losing the dressing room and are testing the patience of even the most loyal fans. But you know what? There's another technique Barclays can use over here, is they can just blame it on the consumer. That worked really well with the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry just blamed it on the consumer. Oh, it's the consumer, you know, they're not making good choices. You know, they're not buying cars, they're not buying new cars that are more fuel efficient instead of using different fuel. You know. Yeah, Plastic Federation, same thing. Oh, Tufton Street. Instead of actually actioning on plastic, like the European Union is, which the UK now conveniently, just like the injunctions, conveniently aren't in anymore. So instead of tackling plastic, the United Kingdom let's just blame the consumer, blame these hippies, you know, blame these people, blame them. They are not making good decisions because look at all their oh, sorry, where's your plastic bottles? You're not in your McDonald's cups? No, sorry, wrong day. Oh, wrong protest. Yeah. So yeah, you know, that's a very good technique. Blame the consumer, because then they will feel guilty. And when the consumer feels guilty, then they are trapped in inaction. Then they won't do anything. Or they will do the smallest thing, or even the biggest thing, like with lockdown. Everyone stopped. The whole world stopped. And only 18% reduction. That is in the heights. Before that, you know, it was like 5, 6, 8, and then eventually 17%. That's after the whole world fucking came to a standstill. The whole world came to a standstill, and only 17%. You know, when the scientists saying we should be looking like at 25% per year, that needs to happen every year, year on year. That's why there's 5 years. Okay, you guys just don't seem to get it. You know, the banks don't seem to get it. The public does. The public does. You know, they are here and they are supportive. You know, they understand the tree protectors. You know, they understand the people who climb trees, people who quit their jobs. You know, because we know, you know, we see how nature is going. There's 200 animals per day. There's risk extinction. You know, so we've seen through the lies. You know, we do not believe in separation. We do not believe in fear. Okay, now the government started using a new fear tactic, and that is disrupting peaceful protesters. So again, you know, people are being told, oh, you know, you've got a mobile phone. Yes, everyone has a mobile phone. Okay, mobile phones Again, it is pushed on the consumer. While you have, 100 companies that are polluting 70% of all the greenhouse gases. There's 100 companies that is polluting 70%. And we are not. This is not what we need. I see ExxonMobil is on the team. They had 6 billion. If you know Exxon, so Exxon knew in the 70s about climate change. Who else do we have on the team? Who else is on the team? Maybe there's here we go, great. So the Sharkley Premier. Let's get a better. It's very lucky that there's still a microphone there, because yesterday when people were telling the children actually a bedtime story about the banks and Boris the bank engine, how he's giving out billions to the fossil fuel industry. You know, the police just stormed in. It was not nice. You know, you guys really need to learn how to de-escalate better. Train your police officers better, because we're going to need a kind force. Not a force, we're going to need a kind service. We don't need police forces, we need service. We need community services, not police forces. You know, so the top 12 banks buy investment in fossil fuels, and this is funding in the last 3 years since the Paris Agreement. Since the Paris Agreement is signed. So these are them. JP Morgan Chase, we call Ecocide. Wells Fargo, we call Ecocide. You're accomplices. Citibank, accomplice. Bank of America, accomplice. RBC, MUFG, Barclays, TD, Izuka, Scotia, Morgan Stanley, HSBC. If you go to the website sharkleys.co.uk and you have an account with them, I suggest changing. You know, they did it, the UK, a lot of people at one point, I think during apartheid in South Africa, there were actions in the United Kingdom by students against Sharkleys. And what they did is they just closed down their students' accounts. And by the end of the boycott, I think they went like from 33% to 12%. You can check the numbers. So let's see. Because actually I do like to watch a little bit of football. But a little. It's like cricket. I like the one-day games, not the, make it short and sweet. There's Total Dirt Investments, what else? ExxonMobil again, BP, yeah. Oh, he's making a call to the investors. So let's see what else here, so Sharkleys continued funding of fossil fuel producers and other egregious producers, Sharkleys' motto might as well be, well, no one likes us, we don't care. And far from being over the moon, customers themselves are likely to be sick as poisoned, overheated planet. So... And there we go. Let's have a look at the manager's view. Okay. Sharkleys versus Exxon is a new fixture for us. Sharkleys has been doing a great job in hiding behind making cuts out of our scope 1 and 2 emissions, operation and building emissions. It looks as though we're doing something, but 90% of the game is scope 3, which is investment and travel, etc. And they were going almost nothing. Still, big finance result business looks at us. So Barclays or Sharkleys put over 6 billion into fossil fuel projects within ExxonMobil. And the profits poured. But on Exxon's side, we can play only what is in front of us. Okay, Sharkleys talk a good game, and with players like ExxonMobil, we expect them to cover up, pack their defense, and catch us on the break. But everyone knows that they've achieved in the game, the vast profits, their massive global influence. But on the pitch, 11 against 11, and we fancy our chances. I think we fancy our chances with a citizens' assembly on the climate and ecological emergency, and we fancy our chances against. We're not against people who have jobs. Because the people who have jobs in Barclays, you'll still have jobs. It's just your company isn't going to be ecocidal. And hopefully not run. There's people, I know people in the finance industry, not all of them, some of them are the best, the greatest people, but they still work for the companies that do these ecocidal projects. And often they, people who have wells with ExxonMobil, they got told for years, for generations. It's like two or three generations already that have oil wells, and they were told by Exxon, oh no, climate change is a hoax, it's not real. Don't worry about that. Just continue pumping. We'll continue giving you money. Someone told me his uncle isn't necessarily the brightest spark, but you don't have to be to pump oil. You don't have to be to pollute the environment. To actually do something scientifically advanced or doing something kind, that takes courage. But to pollute and plunder, anyone with a little bit of an attitude, and someone who's driven by ambition, if you have a little bit of ambition, that dirty word, not necessarily if you brew it in the right way. But there's salespeople. There's it's to do with the culture that we've created. We've created a oppressive culture. Okay. One where we destroy nature, one where we believe that we are not part of nature but above nature, one where we believe, well, I don't believe that, no one in Extinction Rebellion believes in, and 90%, most of the people, but so again, yeah, well, so what? If you think, and actually it won't be Extinction Rebellion. It's not going to be Extinction Rebellion. That's going to take on these big companies that are polluting, destroying. It will actually be the citizens. So have a look at the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill. Okay, yeah, and you can wear a hat. It's fun to protest. What are you doing, sir? You good?
I've just been cautioned by a policeman. I've just been cautioned I have to move because of COVID or I get a £100 fine. Yeah. So you can't watch a football match.
Football
I've
match.
come from the Citizens' Assembly, which they ruined because we were COVID friendly, but they told us we couldn't have one. So there's no democracy. They don't want democracy. They don't want people to speak to each other.
Power. But who really has the power, sir?
The billionaires, of course. What?
They think they have the power. Who really has the power? You know who has the power.
The people.
The people.
See what was happening. I just got a call. Someone said we're around the corner, so I've just come down to check it out.
No, I think she's been with it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of the overreaction here by the police? Well, it's quite a lot of officers, isn't it?
Look at the number of bands they've got here.
Yeah.
There's some around the corner.
Oh, is that? Okay, great.
I think their resources could be used better.
Yeah.
It's overkill. It's making a political statement saying we can have you because we've got the numbers and we will disregard the fact that we are supposed to be exempt from the 30 people gathering. It's not supposed to apply to XR. We were given those assurances and they've just gone completely back on their word, as they have done all week.
Yeah, they've gone back on a lot, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Well, true colours, not just fluorescent yellow. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's just go and see who else is along here. Some people who've travelled with Greta, and we'll find out a little bit more about what that journey's been like getting up here. Hey, have you been with Greta the whole time?
No,
I'm looking for people who can tell us about the long journey. Do you know who's with Greta's team? Hello, love. Yeah. No, it's all right. I've seen her. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just live on the internet. Say hello. This is my friend. She's just cycling through by chance. This is what happens at Extinction Rebellion protests. People just show up.
See you later.
Okay, man. Well, I mean, look at this. Brave climbing on top of Greta. Let's have a look. So there they are, the climbing team, carefully scaling the lightship.
Cheers, thank you. You approached me from a distance. You came right up to me. You came into my personal space. You know, and you had to move. And the long distance from the house. I saw them. I'm not going to down to the first. You saw them. You guys have got to come to evidence. I'm standing in a pretty good space.
Sergeant, where's the sergeant?
Definitely not at this time. Because we are. Under what power, sir? Section 32 in place. Someone's arrested. Can I deny to bring my taxi? Sorry, just it will be illegal, but you can.
Sorry, excuse me, sir. Carry on taking the pictures, but back over there. Thank
I know you're recording, but you're still in breach of being in the area. You need to move away.
So I'm like,
I appreciate you recording, but you're still in breach.
I'm just by myself.
Just because you're recording, it doesn't mean you can't listen to what I'm saying.
No, it's
you
not
need to
that.
move
But
away.
I'm just saying, I'm not part of an assembly anymore.
We're moving everyone this way now. Okay.
I'm like, I don't get it. What about those people who are walking through over there? Why are you guys just targeting us though?
Everyone here, move away.
Everyone will be spoken to, but we're just Dude, we're
It's
not
just
trying
so,
to make it.
it's just so unfair, man. It's so
Unfortunately, this is what
unfair.
they're saying. It's for the public health.
I mean, the people are allowed to sit in pubs and everything.
I know.
Like,
But mate, I agree. The pub should have been closed from day one.
yeah.
But I can't comment on that stuff. I'm not allowed to get political. But thank you anyway. I appreciate it. Cheers.
We love you all, man.
Well done. So how's it feel?
Be taken. The media is captured. Okay, that's not. I'm not saying that there aren't journalists with journalistic integrity, but it happens so often. It happens so often. You know that the article that they write just does not get through, because again, it's this thing about morals aren't taken to work, and ethics aren't taken to work, so that you can look professional. You know, because your boss, and you have to do what your boss says, even though it's unethical, because you don't know, well, it came from above. Above like there? No, man. You know, leave your job. Leave your job, you know, just leave it. Leave. If you don't believe in what your company is doing, leave. Walk out. It's easy. You send the email, you walk out. There's so many other opportunities, especially so many opportunities that are having to, you know, we have a climate emergency. Okay, when there's an emergency, people run towards people to help them. They run towards solutions. Okay, they don't ignore it. If your house is on fire, like Greta says, you know, you don't wait and go, well, you know, maybe it'll only be half the house. Because some people say, oh, well, what is the emergency? 400,000 people, or is it 1 million people? Yeah, half the house, you know, a quarter of the house. So how much should it be? Should it be 3.7, or should it be 3 billion people displaced? Or should it be 7 or 6 billion? Is it okay if we keep 1 billion? You know, as long as they have their private fire, you know, like Kanye West recently had to. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. If they have the finances, if you have the means, you know, to protect your family, awesome, do it. Do whatever you can, you know. Finance, if you have it, use it, but also use it for good. And what's happening here is just not right, people. It's just not right. You know, we have, I always have to give it up to the Hare Krishnas. You know, they're a registered charity. They're feeding 10,000 people. 10,000 people across the whole, I think it might even just be across London, homeless people, you know. And me, to have to sit down and speak with homeless people and find out how they got there, you know, The average person is only about 3 paychecks away from being homeless. This is not a system that's working. Well, and here we have veggies, vegan catering. Friends, not food. Yeah, people who say, "Oh, you know, I love pig." It's like, oh, pork. Well, they call it pork. Actually, that's true. You know what? They don't call animals that you eat by their name. It is. Do you want to say something maybe about animal rebellion or? Yeah, they.
Chat to my colleagues.
Yeah. All right. No worries, man. Not everyone likes to speak on camera. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah. Chat to the people over there. With the
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, I just interrupted him doing his work. Caught off guard.
But the point I'm saying is that we're walking around here on the streets of London, and we're sad that the theatres are closed. We're sad that the tourist industry is suffering. But we just spoke to some tourists from Germany, and okay, they come across from Germany. I know that London is suffering because 80% of the tourists aren't here. We know that people will be struggling because tens of thousands of Virgin staff have been laid off. But this, sadly, is what the planet needs if we're going to avert the bigger crisis of the climate crisis. We have to learn from this and say this is the new normal, if you like. The new normal is not jumping on a plane to fly overseas.
And well, so the thing is, there's some things that I agree with you there. Yes, so one, you know, the lockdown definitely reduced emissions, but I said this earlier, it only reduced emissions by 17%.
Really?
You know, because people are now working at home, and where's that electricity coming from?
Sure.
Okay, it is coming from. It's not coming from clean, like at least. Well, actually, Germany has got a lot of clean, but they also have big coal mines. So do not think. You know, we're talking about one country. This corruption goes far and wide.
It's a step, though. It's definitely a step in the right direction. And it's if we think and rebuild and learn the lessons that we're learn how we can do things better. So usually when we're doing we've lost our entire summer tour. Normally we go to Glastonbury Festival and green gatherings and all that kind of stuff. But it means, hey, we've not driven our diesel van 1,000 miles this year. Instead, we've popped in an electric car, and it's a better way of doing things. So
hydrogen, you know.
Yeah.
You know, BTS, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, they're behind Hyundai, you know, with their hydrogen fuel cell.
Sure.
And there's motorbikes coming out of hydrogen. There's also, you know, cars can be converted. There's so much you do not know because they do not tell you. Okay, because they want to control the narrative, and they have scientists on programs, and then they have a spokesperson, and they put them as equal footing. We cannot have that in citizens' assemblies. You know, the real facts. You know, the scientists explain these issues to them. And the other thing is, you know, so yes, I agree. You know, my mom. Hi, Mom. I hope you're doing well. You know, my mom. It was the first time. My mom said it was the first time. Well, in like many years, you know, like 50 years or something, that she can remember having a day where she wasn't just constantly ticking off tasks to do. So she was actually able to just be there, and that's massive. You know, there's so many people. So thanks, man. Thanks for your food. Yeah. You know, so you know, we are trying to have minimal. Figuratively and physically. So much that I had to give my voice to others so they can remember last night. If that makes sense to you. But you know what? You know, there's parents here. You know, Espanol, Spanish, you know, act now, rebel, you know. To do nothing. To do nothing but grumble and not to act. That is throwing away one's life. Oh, sorry. You know, so if you go to Extinction Rebellion UK or London, and you go and look at what we did last year, September, yeah, we really raised the alarm. We raised the alarm on the climate and ecological emergency, which the scientists were trying to tell the world, you know. But the scientists use, you know, sometimes subtle language, or, you know, they say they have some concern when they really say they are freaking the fuck out. That's really what they're saying when they're in the pub, you know. But in the peer-reviewed article, one must be expected to look presentable and, you know, professional. So leave your ethics and look professional. Yeah, true word, you know. You know, I'm not going to speak too much about the virus because I'm not a doctor. But the consequences of you getting COVID is worse than getting the flu. For some people it is a lot worse, you know, especially in these societies where we have you know, really bad diets and bad lifestyles and stress. You know, if you make the terrain of your body, if you know what, you can just take any animal. You can, if you put your dog in a cage, you know, and make them afraid and poke them, which you should obviously not do, the dog will get sick. The same happens with humans. If you cage them and if you make them constantly be in fear, you know, fear of their credit score, fear of their criminal record, you know, fear of their space in society, you know, then you don't get people who protest when there's injustice happening. These are ways, you know, that they try to control. But we have seen through the illusion. We have forgiven ourselves for believing in the illusion. So I just blocked the person because he was really saying just not constructive. I don't usually block people's, but you know, if someone is just filling a stream with expletives and just really not contributing, if you ask questions, you know, it's great, people can answer it or have a discussion. Yeah.
So we're just going around leafleting in Trafalgar Square at the moment. We're doing an urgent call out for people to come to the HS2 protection camps this week, right now. Please come and join the HS2 protection camps and help stop HS2. We want affinity groups to come and block gates and get involved in whatever actions that you like. Hopefully, can people hear me? Shall I just take? I'll repeat it. Urgent call out for help. Please come to the HS2 protection camps immediately, as soon as you can. This is the next stage of rebellion. We're taking things from London on the road to the camps. You can learn how to climb trees, how to take part in all sorts of non-violent direct action techniques. Bring your authentic selves, any skills that you've got, and whatever your contribution can be, it will be really helpful. We are going to stop HS2, so why not be a part of it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, Louis.
So those are actual tree protectors. So go to the website hs2rebellion.earth, hs2rebellion.earth, and there's or on Facebook HS2 Rebellion. Okay, this is if in the UK. This one isn't far from to get there. You can use public transport. You take a tube there, and then you take a bus there. Although they might have actually closed down that road already, Chews Lane. But yeah, go down there. Okay, it does help. Okay, HS2 with their preparatory work. Last year, they already wanted to fell the trees in Euston. Okay, so this is this year in Euston Station. They want to fell the trees just because they temporarily wanted to move a taxi rank that is being displaced by the expansion of the Euston station to accommodate HS2. So they temporarily displace a they temporarily displace a taxi rank, but they permanently wanted to cut down trees. So tree protectors went up the trees and they're living there. This really works. Okay, this should not have to happen in a working democracy. You know, the government should really be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. You know, last year they arrested 2,000, grandparents. Not grandparents and, students and lawyers and doctors, and scientists, paramedics, nurses. These people have been arrested by the police for asking the government just to say what the scientists are saying and do what the scientists are saying we need to do. And it really is not difficult. Okay? Yeah, hey man. Yeah, so it is actually time for the love for the planet rage. Worried about the weather? Bring waterproofs. Just bring waterproofs. I don't know what's happening here. Smile, guys. You're on camera. Lovely. We still have tourists in London. And the thing is true again, our home is on fire. Hey, guys. Normal was a crisis, yes.
we're seeing huge new tactics from the police this rebellion, and obviously with our beautiful movement taking such a sort of diverse and flexible approach to the protests this year, I think it has been really difficult for them. They know the tactics can change by the day and by the hour, and so can theirs, as it seems. So today I understand they're using the COVID laws to break up our protests, which we know don't apply to us. We've had legal advice before the beginning of the rebellion, and even though these protesters stuck to the COVID rules and broke themselves into two small groups so that they were even meeting the COVID restrictions that they didn't legally need to meet, they've still had Greta stopped and dismantled. And let's see what happens to them. So you can see just over the road there, they're just taking everything apart and trying to make all the different parts of Greta secure. It's a big old job getting her deconstructed in the road. I don't know how much more they'll take her apart. There's enough of them, they could probably just pull her like the rebels did if they decided to move her quickly. But they do like putting on a bit of a show, don't they, the police? So here they are, choreographed around the vote on Kennington Park Road. So we've got some press here now who've just showed up to come and speak to us. And I don't know, I'm waiting for this crane to move, but it's not quite happening yet. Still lots and lots of people down that side road. I think perhaps people being taken to collect their bags, and let's see if they come back out. Yeah, go for it.
So we're back at Trafalgar Square, where there's men. They're still talking to the drummers. Looks like they brought in some reinforcements of people who've brought in the notice. Is this a notice that they brought in? Do you know what's going on?
They're now trying to use the... I don't know whether I should be on social media spreading what the police are saying, but they're now trying to use bylaws against these people playing music who weren't part of the People's Assembly. They've just arrived. They were playing the drums, and the police have been asking them to move. And they've quoted a bylaw and said you can't play music in Trafalgar Square without permission from the mayor. And then they've said, but actually it's because of COVID regulations, because apparently music causes people to gather. Even though these guys were walking, what's actually caused people to gather is the police trying to break it up. And now people are gathering, which is interesting. Yeah. So they've been told that they can move on with their music anywhere else, but that they cannot be in Trafalgar Square because obviously the police are concerned that the gathering that was here earlier is going to reform. So that's what's happening.
Okay, fair enough.
And people obviously understandably are very upset about it.
Yeah. Okay, so more laws and bylaws coming into place, and so people aren't playing any music, but they're singing. Nice singing voices.
Hello.
How you doing? We're just going over. It's going global. So what's going on here?
What's going on here? Well, I'm here because I'm 50 next year, and when my grandfather died, he was a police officer in Warsaw in the Second World War, and he died screaming. The doctors said he had 2 weeks to live, and he couldn't live with himself for what he didn't do. And I'm here because the United Nations has written 3 heavily researched scientific papers about the significant risk to life and how, and this is going to be so much more than COVID. And this will have, and the action here today is supposed to be in solidarity with the global south. And the potential of risk of, I don't know how many millions of people will die because we are not acting now. And I will not have that on my conscience. So that is why I'm here to tell the truth and I'm here to act.
Thank you very much. What part of the country are you from?
I'm from South London.
South London, mate. Okay, right. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Okay, there you go. So just having a couple of words with people of why they're here. Why are you here? What's going on?
I believe that we should be able to have a citizens' assembly on a really critical situation on our earth and the environment at the moment, and police shouldn't be able to use coronavirus laws to suppress, free speech and discussion on a more sustainable future.
Yep.
It's unbelievable, really. It's like, there's people packed into pubs around here, all over. There's, very little coronavirus stuff being done there, but like here, people have done a risk assessment. They've tried to stay in smaller clusters, to wear face masks, to do what they can, and basically, it's unbelievable. I talked to a mate who's a journalist. The police are trying to stop journalists from filming what's going on at the moment.
Say it again. Police are stopping journalists from filming.
Yeah, I'm just doing Occupy London at the same time. So police have basically, there's another march going over that way. Not sure what that one is. So basically, the police have said to journalists, move along or we'll arrest you. And you can't film from here. Yeah. My friend Jason, and let's go and have a look, see what's going on over here. There's another march or demo going on there.
Are they being stopped from their social distancing?
Yeah, well, are they being stopped? Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. So, people should have a right to have a citizens' assembly to come and discuss things. It's obviously they're using corona laws to suppress political protest.
Yeah. So we've got another protest going on here. What's going on here?
March against paedophilia, child trafficking, systematic paedophilia, Buckingham Palace, Downing Street, Hollywood, Disney, they're all in on it. Child trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, adrenochrome, organ harvesting, and we're out here marching against it.
Goodbye. Yeah. Keep a good work. Cheers. There you go. So we're seeing so many different movements happening, movements, people demanding action in so many different parts of our broken society. They're marching to Downing Street. So I think I might say... Oh yeah, I wonder, yeah. So I'm probably just going to stick this back in here to... No.
Obsessed with that 1% than the 1% that hoards 50% of the wealth of
Where is she, Brett? Hey guys, Henry here. We're in Parliament Square. As you can see, there's a lot going on, it was dwindling, but there's a lot more people out here right now enjoying the vibes. We've got Anil here with his drum. Go on, give us a... Yeah, Anil, so you've been here, I'm guessing, all day, right?
Yeah, I've tried to get here as quick as I could. I got a bit delayed because there's burnout and there's a lot of stuff happening. And I've just had a bit of rest and recovery. I came in at 1 o'clock and it was a little bit low. Got some beats going, got some jamming going, and we got the lively spirit. Everyone starts to converge on Parliament Square, so we're going to make some real positive energy action here.
And we've got the Animal Rebellion coming up here.
Animal Rebellion with their weaponized, looks beautiful. I can't wait to see what they come up with. We just had trans rights, so human rights, just beforehand. Really powerful speaker. really powerful energy. And before that, we've had a few people just dotting around, just spreading their love.
Spreading the love now, yeah. I feel like we're in the 70s right now, you know?
Spreading love and the rage, the love and the rage. That's really
it's like creativity, destruction, the spectrum, you know, that's what it's all about.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, earlier today we were in Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
And we were at the disco obedience thing. That was pretty wavy, everyone was dancing. Were you there for that?
I wish I could say I was aiming to be there, but I got a conflict of interest with trans rights. I'm an ally of the LGBT community, and I wanted to come here and bring a disco obedience to the trans rights protest. But here it was beautiful. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was pretty great for about 45 minutes, I want to say, generously. And then the police just came, and the speeches were done.
Yeah, with the
helicopter, of course. Surprise. I've been saying that a lot this week. And yeah, it all got shut down, and everyone had to leave. Similar scenes going on in Trafalgar Square as well. They wanted to play the Shark-Leeds football match. I don't actually know if that happened. And it's pretty unfortunate. And we got Greta, the Greta boat, I believe. Do you know what that is?
I believe it's the Lightship of Hope.
The Lightship of Hope, yeah. And that's also been surrounded by police.
Aren't they still making their way here though? I believe they were in Kennington, last I heard, and still making their way on here.
Okay, yeah, so that's really just coming in from resources. The Greta Lightship is en route. Despite, oncoming tides of police, they're still coming, they're still going to come and show support, and they're going to be successful. Hopefully that's a metaphor for the movement in itself and our achievements.
In waves and in tides, we will always rise.
Yes. Earlier, who were you on the phone to?
I was on the phone to the 101 for the police service, the Metropolitan Service. I wanted to make a complaint because there's a friend behind us in the tree, a conscientious tree, but the last two left, and they haven't been given basic human rights. They've been denied food, water, and the ability to go to the bathroom.
I mean, that's because they're supposed to be, by law, allowed welfare and anything they need for welfare in that tree. And correct me if I'm wrong, they've only been getting water a little bit. Not even water.
Not even water. Nothing has been allowed. It's been an abuse of basic human rights and an abuse of just basic decency, which is what Britain is known for. We're known for being decent a nation.
Well, at least we want to be known for that, right?
Exactly. We've got all these people here wanting us to prove to the world that we are still decent. We want to work through the issues and the problems that are created in the world from colonialism and from just past deep trauma that needs to be healed.
Yeah, totally. And of course, neocolonialism, the latest plague that we are being subject to. Speak some truth. Yeah. Can we show that guy, this infiltrator? Can we show him on the live stream?
Say again, sorry?
The infiltrator. Oh no. Forget that I said that. There is no infiltrator.
There is no infiltrator.
Let's aim the camera over here. Let's have a look at this. They've got some free Julian Assange things going on here. If you can turn the camera around a little bit. Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. He released a lot of very sensitive cough information to the public that he felt was needed. He felt it was needed for us to know. And as a result of that, his life's been ruined. He's been arrested. And now he faces US extradition, which is exactly what these signs are saying to go against. No US extradition.
Wasn't he actually in hiding in the Colombian embassy for many, many years until, I believe, just a few months ago, until last year? So I don't know exact details where Julian Assange is now, but obviously he was somebody for actually promoting the truth and actually getting to know the real story out there. And so I'm not sure if he's been extradited to the US now already, because that's where they wanted to send him, but I hope he's actually safe and well somewhere. It'd be interesting to get some updates. We could maybe talk to somebody as part of that later on. But I think there's actually a few different protests all converging on Parliament Square today. It's quite lively. I did hear there was another protest or procession on the way here that's not linked with anything with XR at all. So we'll try and give those people their space. And there's obviously the awesome Stop Brexit people here as well, who are still here promoting their side of things. So perhaps we'll have a wander around Parliament Square and show you what's going on here. There's actually a really beautiful XR flag over there. Should we go and try and have a look?
Sure, let's have a little wander. So yeah, we've got the Animal Rebellion coming over here. Who else did you say that was? What other march?
I'm not sure the exact details, but not at all connected. Not at all connected to us. So yeah, we don't need to worry about them.
So cool.
Now here's some AR people.
These ones?
Yeah.
Should we speak?
You just chat to them already.
As you can see, there's still a guy on that statue, and I believe there is someone still in the tree. It's gone. So what's the update?
We're just finding out information over what Animal Rebellion's doing at the moment, so I'll perhaps just go and chat to people, see if we can find out some more information for you, and I'll come back to you in a second. There seems to be quite a few Animal Rebellion people around here. They're actually an offshoot of XR, so they're their own independent group, but they're actually some proper hardcore rebels amongst them. So I'll just go and find a couple of people, see if we can maybe get them to do an interview on a live stream for us. So I'll be back in a second.
So yeah, there's a police helicopter like right above us. I'll see if I can get that. The ever watchful eye, the big brother. The sun is.
I'm not heavy on but
Yeah. Okay. So we're here in Trafalgar Square. The drummers have moved on because of the bylaw that was presented. Most of the rebels have now moved on back down to Trafalgar Square. Oh, sorry, down from Trafalgar Square back down to Parliament. I'm here with Vanessa, Reverend Vanessa. I've discovered she's fine, the same Vanessa. I'm just going to have a quick word with her. So you were here for the Citizens Assembly? Or?
I'm here actually for the Amazon. The Amazon. There's going to be a gathering for Indigenous peoples, and I'm going to say a prayer at the end of that, because really there have been thousands of people who've died defending the Amazon, and really they're martyrs. I see them as martyrs for the earth. So we're going to just say a prayer to remember them and to hold them in their struggle.
And what did you think of the? So I think that's supposed to be 3:30. I think they might be moving down to that's going to be now in Parliament Square.
Is it?
Yeah. That's where I'm going to go after. So you can walk down with me.
Okay, fine.
And
I'm in the wrong place.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's things change minute by minute. And I was going to ask. I know we've spoken before, but we're just talking about like one of the big events today and yesterday has been out the media, and the media corp was blocked, and the whole point is like 70% of the media is controlled by 5 people, and you were saying before that you were very unaware of it.
Well, I'm saying that I think when you engage in an issue like climate, ecology, justice, you become more and more aware of how much the important stories are not being told, and how the media just focuses on certain things. And so actually most of the stuff we're fed doesn't actually help us to wake up to the reality that we're in.
Yeah.
And I just think, and also we were just talking about yesterday how when you're engaged in a protest action, it's not even being reported on the media, so you don't even know what's happening.
So yeah, all this, like most of it has never been reported on the BBC last 5 days, which is like unbelievable.
The language that the BBC used, I think even when they talked about I'm just waving at my friend over there, even when they talked about the arrests over the media, the press this morning outside Rupert Murdoch's factories, not the printing presses, they were just saying they talked about it as if it was something that we refer to as the climate and ecological emergency. They're not even saying this is an emergency. So it's that level of, it's still something that's a kind of a small little questionable issue. It's just not central enough.
Okay, well, this is why we're doing this.
I know.
It's crazy that we have to rely on
It's
live
crazy.
streaming.
And I think you sort of wake up to the fact that we are being fed. You know, the media is feeding us certain things.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
It's an evil is what it is. It's, just, corruption just of polluting people's minds in the wrong direction, If people knew the truth, I think we'd have like a different world.
I mean, as a person of faith, I'm obviously aware that the spiritual dimension is rarely included.
Yeah.
So the spiritual dimension is shut out. But also now, the science is shut out. That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
We live in this modern age and the science is shut out.
Yeah. It's like priests, scientists, academics, being
There's no voice.
No voice.
No. No voice.
So we are the voice. Do you know how Reverend Sue is doing? So Reverend Sue was arrested.
Yeah, I believe she's
77
been
years old.
I think she has been released at the moment, but she'll probably have to go back because she actually, she's totally prepared to go to prison for this.
Right.
She believes this is her vocation now. She's 77, but she thinks this is now so critical that some of us have to be prepared to go to prison.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work. God bless. Thank you. So I'm just going to just wrap up now, guys. It's going to be a bit weird. It's going to spin around. So it's very bright here. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry for that. I'm going to pass it over to. We've got something else happening. I think they're in Brixton. I'm going to hand back to Claire.
Okay. Hi everyone. Yeah, this is just a quick wrap up from on the ground here with dear old Greta, the lightship. So you can see behind me, she's really still not fully dismantled. She's full of people's belongings from all those people who've towed her all the way across the South Downs from Brighton. So they're just taking her apart and taking all the baggage out. And they are giving some of it back to rebels. I think they're coming out. I don't have any clarity on the numbers of arrests that have taken place here, unfortunately. But as you can see, Kennington Park Road behind me still firmly closed in one direction. We've got a samba band and beautiful singing rebels here. I think they're preparing now to go for a little further procession. And I guess things are going to wrap as soon as the boats have disappeared and all the people's belongings have been given back to them. So what an interesting day when you poke a media baron like Rupert Murdoch hard enough to get a response from the Home Secretary on Twitter. Then we see in these changed police tactics using laws that don't apply to us to shut down protests that have been pre-agreed. So the police seem to be going back on quite a few of their words today, breaking a few of their own rules just to get people off the streets. And if I could be quite honest, when we were preparing for this rebellion, we did know that things were going to change because the tactics never stay the same, but then neither do ours. And so it'll be really interesting to see what unfolds over the next few days. And just everyone will be mourning the loss of Greta. I don't know if she'll ever come out of the pound, but let's see. Thanks very much for tuning in, people. I'm going to pass over to, I don't know who. Someone's going to take it off me and take it somewhere else. Okay, cool. Henry's in Parliament Square, so that's who I'm passing to. Thanks for joining us, guys. Love your rebels, love your local rebels. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Back in Parliament Square, I've got a member of Animals Rebellion right now, and the energy is definitely looking up. There's a lot of action going on behind me. Look at this, there's some signs here, truth. If you want to save the planet, you have to stop eating, very straightforward stuff. Right, I'm here with a member of Animals Rebellion. I'm going to ask her what she thinks about today. So, have you heard about all the actions today getting cancelled and getting stomped on? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so we had an action plan for today, and as you can see, we're all still hanging around Parliament Square. The police are coming down really hard. I know they're coming down really hard on XR protesters as well. It's really kind of intimidating and scary, but we know that they're trying to intimidate us, so our rebels are still trying to go ahead with what they have planned for today, which is an action about how the government is spinning a web of lies about animal agriculture, about the environment, about everything that's going on. So fingers crossed we'll still be able to go ahead, but it's quite clear that they're really coming down hard on peaceful protesters, which, you know, says a lot about the state of the world right now.
Oh yeah, totally. The hypocrisy of it all. Like, I heard recently that we aren't even really allowed to protest anymore. They've got this new bill in place because of COVID. Basically, any crowd that congregates, even if it is under peaceful protest, dance or whatever, the police have the power to just, you know, stop that in its tracks, you know. And it's great to see that you're on standby, you know, regardless, because persistence is key to successful movement, right?
And that's the thing, right? Because Animal Rebellion, part of the reason we're here, one of our messages and one of our demands is to prevent future crises, which includes future pandemics. So animal farming has been kind of highlighted and spotlighted by the UN and other researchers as the leading link for future pandemics, zoonotic pandemics. Because it's either coming out of factory farms, industrial farming, or it's coming out because we're going into nature, we're destroying nature and ecosystems, and we're coming into contact with wild animals, which is, you know, spreading zoonotic diseases. So we're actually here to prevent future pandemics, and they're coming at us and saying, you know, you can't protest because of COVID. And we're like, wow, you know, our protest might be inconvenient. The next pandemic is going to be even more inconvenient. And if we don't protest now, this is essential. We're here because it's essential. We don't really want to be here. We prefer to be keeping safe. But we need to be doing this because, you know, we know what's coming. If we don't protest, we don't stand up now. So
it's our responsibility to look after our own futures, right?
Exactly.
We can't just sit back and trust the government to look after us.
You were just touching on there about COVID. Of course, COVID actually started from the wild animal markets in China.
The fish markets?
Yes. So, and that actually shows how exploitation of animals has actually caused this global pandemic. And I think the thing for me as well is that other pandemics we'll think of, things like avian flu and swine flu. Well, avian, that's birds, and obviously swine flu, that's the pork industry.
And SARS is something else.
So that was linked as well. So I don't know if you have experience of that, if you can talk on those.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, the other day we were parked right out the front of the Department of Health and Social Affairs with a big pink truck which said animal farming equals pandemics and climate crisis. So what we were saying is we were showing that link and saying it's up to the government to step up and to stop this now, because, and you know, we had people coming up to us and saying, you know, well, why aren't you protesting outside the Chinese embassy and stuff like that? And what's really obvious is that it is happening here. Like, industrial farming is on the rise here. Animal farming is causing so much devastation right here, as well as all around the world. So it's up to our government to take action. We can't keep just pushing it off onto other governments. It's our government's responsibility. And we're also outside Barclays yesterday, outside the bank, who invests in animal agriculture. We're asking them to stop doing that, put their money somewhere else, you know. Because they have a responsibility to us as citizens, as taxpayers, as everything, to take care of ourselves and to take care of our home and this earth and this planet and the animals that we say that we love, that we're killing, and that's killing us and that's killing our planet. So yeah, it just seems so. It's if you look at the scientists, it's obvious that we need to transition to a plant-based food system. Like, the science is all saying it, and the government is just refusing to listen. They're refusing to tell the truth. So yeah, that's why we're here.
And I've been hearing a lot that if we all went vegan, you know, today, we all just did it, you know, the constructivism kind of approach, it would reduce our carbon footprints by like 50%.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that's like sort of pipe dream because, you know, there's sustenance farmers who literally are using like animals and are you know, sustenance. They need it. They have no other way, no other means of looking after themselves, which I kind of get. But, you know, in places like the UK where we have got options, basically, you know, if we were able to sort of, you know, restrict our diets to this sort of really eco-friendly vegan or even just vegetarian like lifestyle, we'd save the planet like quite a lot. Like we'd save quite a lot of carbon.
Yeah. Yeah, so at Animal Rebellion, we really welcome personal change. A lot of us are vegan, some of us aren't though, and what we really stand for is system change. So we demand that the government transition farmers, or help farmers, because farmers are struggling in this as well, animal farmers, livestock farmers, as well as plant farmers. We demand that the government support them to transition to the only way forward, which is a just, sustainable, plant-based food system. So we're about systemic change. We want to see systemic change because, it shouldn't be on us as individuals. Like, even with COVID, it's like the government, is telling us to social distance. They're telling us to wear masks, but they're doing nothing to prevent what's coming next. They're not taking responsibility. They're putting it all on us. For years, we've been told to stop using plastic, to turn our lights off, to save the planet. Really, it's in the government's hands. They're the ones who need to save the planet, and we're here to tell them that that's what we want, that's what we need. So yeah, it's all about the system change, changing the system, and yeah, it's just, there's no other way forward. We don't want to be the next species to go extinct.
Yeah, and to quote John Fuller, he always goes on about how, quite rightly so, that the government now is sort of taking away our chance to sort of save ourselves in the future, because as they have all the power and they have all the responsibility right now, and they aren't being accountable or aren't being held accountable for the climate sort of degradation that they are sort of complicit in, it means that when we eventually pick up the mantle because they're all dead or retired or whatever, we won't have any choice.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to accept the fact that the world's screwed, and there is literally no way back. There's no turning back at this point. If it's over 4 degrees warming or whatever, and the southern hemisphere is completely boiling, and then anything low, any sort of cities that are lower than the water level, then they're gonna flood, and there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it's incomprehensible, but it's our future if nothing happens now. And that's the thing, right? It's so hard to imagine a world that's unlivable, but that's what we're heading towards. And the government's sitting in their comfy houses, and they probably can't imagine it either, but the science is clear, and that's why we're all here, because we've listened to the science, and we're telling the government that we need them to step up, because we're stepping up. We've stepped up out of our lives. We're making sacrifices just by being here a lot of the time. I don't think anyone wants to be surrounded by police. I don't think the people up the trees want to be being deprived of food and water and basic sustenance. None of us really want to be here, but we're here because the government isn't making any choice. They're not making any decision that's going to protect the future. And you're absolutely right. It's leaving us in this kind of horrible situation that no one deserves.
And of course, to talk about system change, half the police, I'm telling you now, they don't want to be here. But because they need a living, because of the way money is kind of like everything now for survival, they have to be here. It's their obligation, and they're sort of, the pawns in this larger game, of chess, this sort of economic chess game that's just, gambling with people's lives and with the next generation's futures, and it's awful.
Yes, just what sprung to mind as you were both speaking there was actually about the social contract. But we agreed to abide by the laws and to pay our taxes and be respectful and to vote in a democracy, but we know we don't really have a true democracy in this country, and because we feel a need to rebel because the government has broken their side of a social contract, and that's to actually look after us. So I think for law-abiding, peaceful-loving people like ourselves who would never normally want to be involved in anything like this, we feel a need because the government is breaking their half of the social contract, so why should we maintain ours? But, we actually care about our future and the future of our children.
Yeah. Exactly. So, what do you think the chances are today of this animal rebellion happening? That's slim, or...?
I just got to check my phone now, we'll see. Look, it's looking like we're going to be trying our best. And that's what we're going to be doing everywhere. We're going to be trying our best to take action, to rebel, even if the police are trying to stop us. We've actually already had 2 rebels arrested for walking, for existing in a space which is not here, and kind of, police thinking that they looked a bit dodgy. So, they're coming down really hard, but we're trying our best, and we're going to keep trying our best because that's all we can do. That's why we're all here. So, yeah, if you look around, there's so many animal rebels here just waiting, ready for something to happen. So, yeah, we're all committed to this cause. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows if we'll be able to go ahead, but we know that something's going to happen.
Something will happen.
Something will happen.
Or should I say something has to happen?
Yes, something has to happen, exactly.
And to go back to that social contract thing, it's the idea of social contract is you gave up your natural freedom. You gave up all liberty, for shared morality, for an idea of right and wrong, so you can have property, so that you can coexist with people. And as we've been saying, the social contract is broken. It's the liberty isn't shared. It's not equal. It's unequal. And there are people who are disadvantaged. And and so that's why they dissent. That's why they have to be activists. That's why they sort of do things that are like what we're doing here today, a little bit disruptive, because that's all we can do.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us here today. So I've just got note from the producer. So we're just going to have a quick walk around Parliament Square to show a bit more of what's happening. And then we're going to hand back over to Fergal. So should we just go for a quick walk, Henry?
Sure.
So thank you ever so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Thank you. So
here we go. We're going to walk around Parliament Square a little bit. Got some great flags in the air here. Great stuff. More sirens, just sort of juxtaposing this sort of union.
It's very noisy in Parliament Square today. A lot of sirens, a lot of different actions, a lot of singing. There's a lot of different PAs and things. Something happening there with a load of police just whizzing by.
We got this guy here, this great guy in his get-up, fighting for liberty in his own unique, creative way. Very great. Should we go say hello to him?
Should we go and say hello?
Yeah, sure. Let's come around here.
Hello.
Hi, mate. Do you want to be part of the XR live stream?
Yes.
Cool, man. So, what is this all about today? How do you express your creativity like this?
Okay. Today, just 1 second. Yeah.
Just 1 second. Wife problems.
Okay, I'm ready. Yes, today is 5th of September. 5th of September 1782. A woman called Bartola Caesar was executed by the Spanish because she was a rebel. She put an army together. She commanded and rebelled against the Spanish conquest, the Spanish colonists. And so we're celebrating that. That's what is International Women's Day. Because it's all these years ago we celebrate that the first rebel. So we're planning to get together here, but unfortunately the police is not allowing us to get together
because of the new sort of legal obligation they've got with COVID.
Well, that's what they say. But then again, it's another group that are meeting there. We're going to march later to the Brazilian embassy. So we for the indigenous rights. My costume is a Muisca costume. It's how the Indians in Colombia used to dress. They wear the gold and have emeralds, and they were in equalitarian society. And that's the way they used to dress for the special occasion. So this is like the smoky.
Oh, great! That's cool. And I got to say, Brazil. It's devastating what's going on there in the Amazon. I read somewhere per second they're losing 3 football fields of trees. That's awful. And then the government as well, they say they're centralising everything when really the government are just siphoning off the funds, siphoning off the wealth. I think it was the oil and the timber industries. It's awful, And have they got any movements out there, trying to do what we're doing today?
Yes. Actually, the indigenous communities are very well organized. And at the moment, as we're establishing the Amazony, the Assembly for the Amazony, we're trying to support them from here. We really need to get together because it's a serious case. There are not only the fires, but also they having the COVID. It's really devastating the population, and the world have to get together because we know the corrupt governments of Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, they know protect the indigenous. And it's not only the people, but it's the animals, the plants, and the knowledge. It's knowledge that we don't even know, things that we know where to go, and it's getting lost. So we have to protect it.
Thanks, man. That was great. Brilliant. It's all that.
Thank you for talking with us.
That was great.
Should we just continue wandering around Parliament Square and see what we can see?
Sure, let's go up to these speeches.
Yes, let's go and see what's happening at Mandela at the moment, shall we?
As you can see, there's a lot of police circulating the tree.
So, is it the climbers of the tree, Henry?
Yep.
Some climbers at the tree. Are you able to talk
There
about
is
that at all?
there is one climber left, I believe. The others have been taken down. They haven't been getting.
Up the tree, Henry. Are you able to explain any more about that?
Well, trees, in our modern society, they are constantly being cut down for, just wood, for the resource, and they're a commodity that's traded, and various ancient woodlands across the world are getting destroyed, and the Amazon, for example, as we mentioned earlier, is getting getting deforested very, very rapidly, and
I believe, isn't there a link with the tree climbers and HS2?
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, the more direct link for the trees and HS2, the more immediate link is, of course, the woodlands that are going to be cut down, across the UK as a result of HS2. And so we got a couple of climbers up here, and they were, a few days ago there was some, in the tree prepared to get arrested, and the plan was to circle around the tree with protesters, preventing the police from getting there, and thus saving some of the climbers. But the police actually wouldn't, get out of the tree, and our protesters were forced to leave, and the girl was actually, taken away. And it's very unfortunate and very, very disturbing that the police can actually do that to someone who's peacefully protesting. And additionally, as we mentioned earlier, they aren't getting their basic rights. They're allowed to have, supplies for well-being, such as, water, food, anything they need for their well-being, and they haven't been getting any supplies. And that's the ISN sign, the International Solidarity Network, which is an idea of the sort of movement of movements sort of thing. Very forward-thinking stuff.
So is somebody just talking on a megaphone from up the tree as well? It's very difficult to hear what they were saying, but obviously they've got some tech up there as well. So there's hundreds of people listening to what they're saying up there.
Should we aim it up there? Can you see it? He's like round here. So yeah, there's a guy on a megaphone.
So, the three of us in these trees at the moment have been living in a beautiful woodland called Denham.
He's saying that there's 3 people in the tree right now, and they are going to persist fighting for the cause they believe in, which is preventing HS2 from being constructed, because it is detrimental to the environment, and it's very expensive, and the money that could be used, that will be used to make it, could be, invested in other parts of infrastructure and other parts of society. For example, travel, public transport, upgrading the already existing railway lines. The railway lines aren't being used, stuff like that. The motorways could be, changed. All sorts of things, and it's just a dumb investment, really. And everyone at HS2 will tell you, HS2 is such a vanity project. It's designed to sort of increase the value of, GB, PLC. There is no real sort of value to it. All it will do is it will open up the north a little bit more, but the people who in the north will drive normally, because they need cars up there, so they all have cars. They don't need to get the train, right? So they're going to drive anyway. All it's going to do is have another sort of carbon releasing infrastructure project on the British Isles, and it's just pointless. And then of course, the companies that are invested in making HS2, they're going to make so much money out of this.
So should we just check back in with the studio, or I believe Ferg might be in Trafalgar Square at the moment, so I'm not sure if we're ready to hang over to Ferg at the moment, but let's just see what we can find out for you. And while we're just listening in on that, we'll just show a quick pan around Parliament Square here, show you what else is happening here.
Yeah, Nick, we can hear you. Okay. Pan around. Okay, so we got the Faith Bridge as well, that's still there. People have been sitting there since Tuesday, I believe, in the name of climate change, and they're interfaith. We've got lots more people crowding around the trees right now, and as you can see here, there's different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different people, and to quote someone else I've heard recently say, they've all got one thing in common, and that is that they care about the future of our planet. Sorry, I'll go this way. So yeah, as I'm walking through the crowds of Parliament Square, people are chanting. Oops, sorry. Lots of different flags here. We've got a rainbow flag. which I'm led to believe is to show solidarity with the LGBT community. We've got the Amazonia flag here, I believe.
We've got some very big, beautiful flags here. I know, they're rather amazing.
Yeah, I said that's the Amazonia flag, isn't it?
Oh my god, it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
And these symbolise people's, desire to try and protect the Amazon rainforest. If you turn around now, I think that looks good. Lots of police are surrounding the statue, and lots of police are surrounding those trees, and it's not putting off any of the protesters. They're still all standing there, despite new government fear tactics with the police of dispersing crowds. Something like the ISN, something as strong as that, is going to be hard to quash. All right, thanks for that, guys. Over to Fergal.
But we didn't have a good person doing the lead either. So no, it was actually it was. Oh, sorry, I'm you caught me off guard there, Director Nick. I'm with my I've just bumped into my former dance teacher here, and we've just been talking about media and the control of media, and Rupert's very passionate about that. I'm just going to just ask him a couple of questions, and then I'm just going to wrap up. So we just speak normally. Okay. So we're talking about like the media and your viewpoints of like what's going on.
Well, I just feel that the cause of the environment is not getting the media coverage it deserves in any way, shape, or form. It's very much a one-sided news story and news cycle that seems to silence the biggest issue in the world, that we've ever had. And it doesn't make sense. It's self-serving, but only in short-term interests. I read a particular newspaper on the left-hand side, online that very much covers things in a positive way and tries to, really draw attention to this. But it feels like no one else is talking about it. We were talking about the BBC just now, and I don't understand why this isn't top of the agenda, all the time. Yes, there's been things that have been really big issue in the world, this year, but the planet doesn't stop breathing, and these issues don't go away at all. In fact, if anything, this year just highlights that even stopping all, so much that's going on in the world, travel, industry, it's only having a small impact. We need to make really, really big long-term changes. And yeah, I'm just quite disappointed and distraught at the kind of lack of coverage that it gets.
Yeah. Thank you, Rupert. Not a problem. There we go. And I'll be back sometime. There we go. So so there was Rupert just voicing his opinion and annoyance of what's actually happening with the media in this country. And also, I'm just going to pan around behind me. You can see now we've got a pretty deserted Trafalgar Square. And right behind me is where there should have been a citizens' assembly happening. Very peaceful. Everybody was sitting down. Everybody was, maintaining correct distances with masks on in small little groups. And it got broken up by the police under coronavirus laws. Some of the people we saw earlier on were getting arrested, which is pretty shocking. We also should have had the Indigenous Women's Day, which has now moved down to Parliament Square. So I think we're going to jump on a couple of channels and cover that as well. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up. Thanks everybody for watching again. Just one reminder, it's great that you're watching this, but this is for everybody. We need more people involved. We need more people to take to the streets. If you can't take to the streets, there's a lot of things you can do online. Go check out our links that we should have in the description, or go to Extinction Rebellion and you'll find lots of links of how you can actually get involved with the CE bill. A reminder, the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill, it's going to have a second reading in 6 months' time, kicking it down the line again. Only 22 MPs have supported so far. So you can write to your local MP, you can phone them, you can petition them, you can demand that they actually take action. So that's something you can do from home. Please, 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 everybody do that. Then on top of that, if you're not doing that, go join a local group, get involved, come down to Parliament Square. We're allowed to be there between 8 to 5 every day. So just come down and join us. There's a lot of different talks going on, and just please, get involved. And again, keep sharing, the mainstream media are not reporting this. It's controlled by 5 billionaires in this country and around the world, and it's not in their best interest. So this is why we need. This is why we're relying on these kind of media streaming to get news out. So we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care.
Oh. Okay. There we go.
Oh, cool.
We'd like to put it on there. I just saw the audio.
Bye from us.
So tonight Extinction Rebellion is outside this printing press which prints The Sun, The Times, The Financial Times, The Telegraph and The Daily Mail. And we're blocking it because these papers have consistently failed to report the climate and ecological emergency accurately.
Just 5 billionaires own 70% of the British media. They could bring us all together to fight the climate and ecological crisis. But instead they sell easy stories of fear, confusion and division, all the while pretending to be the voice of the ordinary British public. The facts have been clear for decades. They report on the consequences, but not the underlying causes. On that, the silence is deafening. Our demand is only that they do what they already claim to do. Tell the truth.
We've blockaded News Corp's printing presses all over the country to expose the truth and stem the spread of misinformation. I'm scared, yes. I'm taking action that will result in my arrest, and I'm afraid of the consequences facing me personally. But I'm terrified of the unfolding climate crisis, and I know that nothing will ever change unless we fight for it. The fact is, nobody else is holding these institutions to account, so we're left with no other option but to put our bodies on the line.